So how about I ask you guys just one question? I'm going to make it simple. Just one question. Are you ready for Monday? Are you guys ready to start trading on Monday morning? I am. Because I tell you what we saw Friday has me enthusiastic about the open. It could be miraculous, maybe even a bit magical. So I hope you guys are ready. If not, why don't you just stick around and watch the video, because that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get you ready for the open by sharing with you some of my thoughts and feelings about the stock market today, as well as some of my favorite stocks that I'm looking at. And I only have one goal with this. I'm going to keep it to the ones. One question, one goal. And the one goal is I hope you look back Friday, and whatever it is we talk about, you say, damn, sweet calls, bro. And you come back regularly. Or you just make some bucks and spend it on yourself. I don't care. I just want you to prosper. So I hope you guys are doing well. As always, if you need my help, somewhere here on the screen will appear a link. Feel free to join us for live trading anytime. So we're going to begin here with the QQQs, because this is where we left off last week. And I want to talk about this one because I feel this is a very good lesson for everyone to learn. And that is about how important levels are. And this is why we use technical analysis, because if you're doing the technical analysis thing, there are a couple of basic formulas that you need to understand. And that is, number one, stocks and assets do not trade in randoms. They trade from one level to the next level. So if you break a support, you should trade down to another support level. That's the theory. Is it 100% perfect? No, it is not. But that is the theory. You should trade from one level down to the next level. Once you bounce off a support, you should trade back to a resistance and so on. And it doesn't matter what it is that you're trading. If you're trading Bitcoins or you're trading, foreign currencies, that's irrelevant. Charts are charts. And it's the best way for us to measure both price action and also the enthusiasm within these instruments. And based on that, we will get an idea of what the next steps are. And that's what I want to spend here the first portion of this video before I get into a couple of stocks. I want to talk about how that level is important and what you saw in the cues, so you guys can use this as a piece of training material and understanding. Even for some of you older traders out there, it's sometimes so very easy to overlook the basics. So I want to look at this cue, and the first thing I want to talk about is what we talked about last week, was validating a certain level in this. Now we look back here and we were trading roughly in this space, but we look by, we had this area in 309s right here where the Q had tapped several times, a good 5-6 times over the span of a little over a month's worth of trading. Now the rule of thumb is, when you're looking at charts, the farther that you go back in time, the more important what you're looking at. So if you're talking about a month-long support, this is something that's very viable and it's been tested several times. So if we go back to what I was talking there too, and use the standard scale of 1 to 10 by saying, how would you rate this level of support? I would rate this thing, as I said at the time, somewhere around 8, maybe even higher. Meaning this is a very important level to these cues, to this instrument. And if it is to lose that level, then you will probably trade down to another one, that the selling could be magnified and exacerbated, far more aggressive. So you look what happens here. It does that on Wednesday, and from there, it's just a straight onslaught right into early Friday morning. Now again, you new traders out there, what we're using is not voodoo and magical tactics that we're all keeping a secret sauce. It's just, you're looking at charts and your job is to interpretate. We're all looking at the same charts, but why are some people more successful than others? It's the interpretation of what it is we're looking at. So you take a look here and you want to know, why did this thing bounce? Well, it's not a secret. You go right over here and here's your support level. So again, I just want to highlight the theory here is that it trades from one level to the next. So you break the level, where does it go? It goes right here. That's the next logical spot, and that's the next probability. Now, I also want to come back and talk about validation. We validated the area between 1 and 10. Now, let's validate the actual bounce, because we got an authoritative bounce on Friday. So when you look back here and you have these other tests of this area, yes, there were bounces, but they were immediately retraced. And there was a bounce again, and then it was immediately retraced. So if we go back to our standard 1 to 10 formula, how would you rate let's say not the validity of the support, let's move to the enthusiasm of the market participants. How are the market participants, right? I would say they're probably about a 5. They're available, they're bouncing, but the market isn't really that enthusiastic. You see what I'm saying? So it's a translation of how we see things. Now you come over here Friday, you get a completely different story. You get this massive rally off of the bottom where I think it recovered like 300 NASDAQ points and closes extremely strong. So again, with this theory, I'd rate this as about a 10. Everybody want in. Everybody in when they want to see a 10. Everybody want in when they see a 10. So real quick review here, really authoritative bounce off of an authoritative support level. Is it perfect? No, it is not. But it leads me to believe that we're probably going to see a follow-through rally. Now, based on what I said, if you're doing the whole technical analysis thing, we should trade from one level to the next. We are at that recent 309. We're now connecting with that 309. So if we can make work of that, get through that level, then you should start moving back up into this spot up here before the week is over. Only time will tell if that's what's going to happen. But only thing I wanted to mention about Friday, in addition to a little lesson there, was to let you know, pretty strong bounce. One of the more stronger, more authoritative bounces that we got. Will this translate into a recorrection in the Qs where they make back some of this? Because I think at one point we were close to 12% maybe, if my math is correct, of a drawdown there. So a pretty decent correction. Now there are a few individual names here that I want to take a look at. Some you have heard before, but some I will surprise you with. I want to take a look here at this Chewy. Okay, yeah, that's the one that's so surprising. CH, Chewy. This could be a good opportunity to get back into some of these names that I think were overbought for a short period of time. So this is a big sell-off here. 120 down into the 80s on a former momentum stock here. And I really like the way this one is also printed in a solid wick. Now, it only touched I would say let's just stick with this 1 to 10 thing for demonstration purposes. I would think this might be a level 7 worth of support. And the only reason I would judge it so highly is because of the actual percentage the stock has fallen and the speed in which it has done so. And there is a pivot there where we can hold risk. You obviously would have liked to seen it come down here and into this area. I think it would have been a little bit nicer, but they can't always be perfect. This pivot, though, does give us an area where we could control some risk with this trade, where you could put your stops and protect yourself. But I think also with the percent wising and leaning into that area of support, then bouncing off of that with authority too. And you're going to see a lot of charts that look like this. So here's what I want to say about that. Many of them are going to look the same. So you may have your very favorite names. No, it doesn't matter what they are, the Apples, the Facebooks, or whoever you're looking at, the Planters. A lot of these stocks really got smoked. I mean, they got taken out to the woodshed and barbecued like the slow roaster. And they were up a lot. I mean, some of this stuff was up 200-300%. I mean, okay, stocks go up and they go down. This is all part of the cycle. But I think this one is another one that can maybe put in a V-shaped rally and work its way back up here. So let's pay attention to the Chewy. Let's see if there's a nice little pivot here on this one. Now, the next one I want to look at is my good old buddy Piton. And I tell you what, you know what? Let me do this here with my tool. I'm going to draw this is a frown. And this is like puke coming out like bleh. As some of you know, look, I love to talk about a good win, but I also like to talk about, it's not a lot. Let's talk about one where you kind of goofed a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I don't want you guys to think any trader out there is perfect. We all make mistakes, and I'll admit to you, I make some myself. I have a love relationship with Piton because I bought it 27 a while back. This was one of my stocks I featured in many mutterings. I rode it all the way up here, sold some at 130, the rest at 120. I bought it back in here at 106, sold some up here in the 160s, and I kept a tiny piece. And I kept this tiny piece all the way down here. And I finally capitulated on that early in the week. I gave it, now it was a profit, yes. But I think I gave up somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 total per share on that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I mean, I made some bucks and maybe it was a small position and I was being sloppy because it was so little of a position and I had that much room. But when I think back of it, I can't really make more excuses than saying, you gave up $50, you dipshit. Hey, we all make mistakes, all right? Look, we're not perfect. It's trading. Same thing here. Really viable space, opportunity, maybe to get back into this one. Again, you're going to have great risk to reward. You're going to see a lot of these. I would look for every chart that you loved right now, that you wanted to get back into, that you sold, or you wanted to add to that position. If anything has ramped up and then violently sold down into any level of significant support where that thing was supported months back, it's going to be probably a good trade. I'm not saying that we're going to do what we've done in the past where we make new highs and we V-shape rally, but I do believe that we could at least panic bounce up to recent levels from a week prior. Once we get there, we can reevaluate market conditions. But, you know, Piton was one of those there. Now, who else was I thinking? I've already mentioned Zillow. I think that's a good one. I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to look just like this one. Who else am I looking at? Man, I'm getting old and I'm forgetting myself. I'm going to move over to Coop, see if it was Coop. I forgot who I was going to talk about. Just bear with me. I'll find it. Oh, yes. I remember. Etsy. Yes. Etsy. Let's give the computer a moment to pull up the chart. I mean, who's waiting, right? Let's just chat while, it decides what it wants to do. How about that? Okay. Well, I just stopped the tape because I got tired of waiting. I mean, money never sleeps, right, guys? What the hell is wrong with the Thinkorswim and their clumpy ass garbage? I know this isn't a rant, but I swear, Thinkorswim, if you're listening, which I know you're not, you sometimes are a big pain in the ass. Yeah, you are. Man, you guys ever have this problem? Crap is down all... Ugh. Anyway, Etsy's my last one. This one is just a pretty solid rollover in just a few days. It's given very little pullbacks along the way. Let's just watch it. Let's just watch it. And I'm sure you're going to see a lot that you go down the list. Apple kind of looks this way. Facebook's got a pretty good chart. Planter has a pretty good chart. I mean, Overstock. I think I mentioned Overstock. Overstock is another one. I've already talked about that in the past video. I want to just include that one in here. I won't switch to the chart real quick. I think they're all going to have the same formula where many of these growth stocks have had good patterns and had gone parabolic. So when you have this really strong and huge parabolic in there, that's a sign of euphoria. And that's going to be retested. And a lot of these have come back and moved into support. So we could see, if nothing else, a very nice panic rally, and we'll see how things go. So I want to thank you guys for hanging around here. I hope you make some money. Thank you for listening to me yell at Thinkorswim for a few minutes, for freezing up our charts in the middle of the muttering. How dare you? But thanks again, guys. If you need my help, you know where I'm at. Feel free to reach out to me. Trade well this week. Take care. Be safe. Talk to you soon.